everybody. David Shuster here. A former White House lawyer for Donald Trump is now calling for Attorney General Pam Bondi and U.S. Attorney Lindsey Halligan to be disbarred. Halligan presided over the evidence and charges presented to the grand jury in the case against former FBI Director and Trump critic James Comey. The Department of Justice has now admitted that indictment against Comey was not presented to the full grand jury. Here's former Trump White House counsel Ty Cobb.
I do think that both Halligan and Bondi should be disbarred. Bondi has twice submitted affirmations to this court about the propriety of Lindsey Halligan's grand jury presentation. She knew this. There's no way she could not have known this, and that's just means that she lied, or that she's equally incompetent, but more likely that she lied.
Halligan, who had no experience as a prosecutor, pushed forward with the indictment, even though not a single attorney in the 100-person district office supported the prosecution. Here's more from ABC News.
Comey's accused of lying to Congress when he testified that he never authorized other FBI officials to leak information to the press. Earlier this week, a magistrate judge raised a concern about a, quote, disturbing pattern of profound investigative missteps in the case. Federal prosecutors appealed, arguing that judge exceeded his authority and failed to show the government's conduct was improper. Now, Comey's lawyers are asking a federal judge to dismiss the case, saying Comey's only indicted because he criticized the president.
Yes, even though no prosecutors in the district, including the head of the office, felt that Comey charges were warranted, the Trump administration insists the Comey indictment was not politically motivated. It's kind of like when Donald Trump insists there is no affordability problem in the United States and our economy is the greatest ever. Anyway, prosecutor Lindsey Halligan was forced to appear in court and explain under oath exactly what happened and did not happen with the Comey grand jury. Halligan admitted that she and her team, including prosecutors the Justice Department pulled in from other districts, bypassed basic grand jury requirements.
In an extraordinary concession in court yesterday, prosecutors in the federal case against former FBI Director James Comey admitted the final indictment against him was never presented to the full grand jury. Interim U.S. Attorney Lindsey Halligan, who has no prior prosecutorial experience, initially presented a 3-count indictment, but the jury rejected one of those counts, Justice Department lawyers said yesterday. Then, rather than drafting and presenting a new 2-count indictment, Halligan printed a new version without presenting it and admitted only the foreperson and another grand juror were present for signing it. The judge appeared skeptical of the government's arguments throughout this hearing and went on to question prosecutors on whether the indictment was retaliation by President Trump. The judge also questioned Halligan herself, calling her a possible puppet for the president.
The judge called Halligan a possible Trump puppet. Most legal analysts would only quibble with the word possible. Halligan was installed as U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia because she was willing to bring cases that other attorneys, even those appointed by Trump, refused to bring.
Lindsey Halligan was given the keys to a clunker, and yet she took it off the used car lot. And every mile, it's like she gets another nail in her tire. I mean, yesterday, the judge offered yet another reason why the Comey case can be dismissed by Thanksgiving. So it turns out that the entire grand jury never saw the final 2-count indictment after the jurors rejected the first of the 3 counts. Now, the rules say that the full grand jury must see the indictment before it's presented to a magistrate. And that may seem like a harmless technicality, but there is precedent in Washington, D.C. to dismiss an indictment in a case like this. And if that happens, it's game over because you can't refile it because the statute of limitations have expired. So here what happened was all but 2 of the jurors went home after they voted. And when Halligan returned with the revised indictment, there were only 2 people left and the foreperson signed it. And so you have this whole comedy of errors. But that's what happens when you send an inexperienced insurance lawyer into a grand jury on a very weak case.
And not only was the case weak, but so was Lindsey Halligan. Weak, dim, incompetent, take your pick. And one of the many problems for Halligan and the Department of Justice is that grand jury rules are basic and clear. You must have at least a grand jury quorum to return a criminal indictment.
If only the foreman and some grand juror who was hanging out in the courtroom saw it, that's 2. A quorum is 12. You need a quorum to return an indictment. So the indictment that was presented and that they've been proceeding on really is a nullity. And that's potentially procedurally critical here, because typically if an indictment is dismissed, the government has 6 months to represent, notwithstanding the expiration of the statute of limitations. This is an indictment, though, that doesn't really have to be dismissed. It doesn't really exist. It was never properly returned. So I think what we heard today, shocking, never occurred before in American jurisprudence. I think will be dispositive.
Dispositive, as in prosecution actions that are decisive and will settle the case in Comey's favor. Legal experts point out there is clear evidence that prosecutors engaged in misconduct, miscarried justice, and denied James Comey due process. Even before the judge made his ruling, legal analysts across the spectrum said this case is dead and will never go to trial. The secondary issue is what will happen to Lindsay Halligan and Pam Bondi. Ty Cobb is not the only lawyer calling for their disbarments. There are several attorneys who say the Halligan and Bondi misconduct is so egregious that the bar of examiners in Virginia will almost certainly take a closer look. In other words, the Trump administration effort to punish James Comey is going to backfire in epic fashion. Comey will walk away without a trial. Pam Bondi and Lindsay Halligan may lose their law licenses. Fingers crossed. What America has under Donald Trump is a Department of Justice that has forgotten what it's supposed to be. The DOJ is neither impartial now nor dignified. It is erratic, malicious, and filled with corrupt leaders like Bondi and Halligan who tumble and bumble with unholy glee. But one way or another, their audacity and their abuses of our justice system will come to an end. By the way, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson is reeling after getting humiliated by Senate Republicans over the Epstein files.
Any reaction to Leader Thune, you seeing the bill without adding amendments or changing it?
I'm deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think I've been at the state dinner. I don't know. I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it? You say you spoke to the president?
I'm not saying that.
Is he supportive of it in its current form?
We both have concerns about it, so we'll see. I was standing there with the Crown Prince.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us. Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. Thanks for watching. If you found this reporting and commentary valuable, do us a favor and tap the like button. For more content like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way, you'll be notified on your YouTube homepage when we drop a new video. If you are tired of corporate spin and want honest, people-focused news, click the join button below and be part of the fight for a better future. We wouldn't be here without your support. Stay informed, stay engaged, and thanks again for joining us.